Hello, everybody. Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom 2015, brought to you by Homefront The Revolution. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me is Michael from Focus Home Interactive, and you're showing off Technomancer.
The Technomancer,
right? It rhymes with my favorite book, Necromancers, or Neuromancer, Technomancer. It's cool compound words.
Yep, they're certainly
there.
a different thing, though.
What's going on here?
So this
magic and technology.
Exactly. This is the fifth game from Spiders Games, who have been doing RPGs for 7 years now, unbelievably. And the Technomancer is set on Mars, except it's set long in the future after Mars has been a colony. And what happened was there was a giant cataclysm which pushed Mars outside of its current orbit, and they lost contact with Earth. And one of the really cool things about this story is when it was a colony, there were four water companies who were pumping out water, terraforming the planet, and getting everything going. And because they lost contact with Earth, in fact, the water companies became major political powers. Mm-hmm. So this game takes place hundreds of years after this happens, and they're having to recycle lots of the things the first colonists brought to Mars. So there's maybe like 6 different factions in the game, and you'll have to ally with some of these factions and pick and choose who's going to help you get through the story.
Okay.
And
who are you playing as?
You're playing as a Technomancer.
Okay.
And I won't spoil it right now. We'll get to that in the game. But the Technomancers are a really special, not race of people. They're humans, but they have a really unique ability to make use of their bioelectric capabilities, which means that they have special abilities to do with lightning, which is way cooler than midichlorians.
Yeah, I like that you've got clearly some kind of medieval themes here. You've got sword shields and stuff
exactly,
like that.
Because they don't have futuristic technology because they were cut out from Earth.
But then you have like a classic cyberpunk trope of big corporations running stuff. And,
exactly. In the end, it's almost like oligarchs. The people who control the resources control the power. And the Technomancers are warriors, so they're employed by some of these different water companies. And what Sebastian's showing you right now is the crafting abilities in the game.
Oh, wow.
Now, being an RPG, crafting is, of course, important. And what you can do is you can craft not only your clothing and stuff, but also your weapons and make physical and visual changes to your weapons.
How does the combat work?
There are 3 different combat styles. In the alpha, the one we'll mainly be playing with is the staff, which is the classic Technomancer style. So we've got really nice mo-capped animations for the combat. You can see him with the staff now. And I think what he will do, this is the second combat, the shield, which is more of a CC crowd control guard warrior stance, and this is that's the warrior stance. Yep. Let's head down through the valley here. So the Technomancer is not actually an open world, but it's more like Mass Effect in its hub worlds. And as you go through the game, you can come back and explore things that you missed previously. So you don't just go across a linear path. You can come back and unlock new things and see things you hadn't seen before. He's walking with Sean right now, who's his master. So right now he's going through a kind of rite of passage as Sean is telling him about the Technomancers and how they became who they are.
Now, just to back things up for a second, are you a custom character, or are you like a scripted, written kind of solid character?
Yeah, this is Spiders do narrative games. So you are Sean.
Okay.
No, you're not Sean. You're Zachariah.
Okay.
You're with
Sean's
Sean.
Sean's
one of the companions. You'll have up to 2 different companions in the game. You'll meet many different companions throughout the game, and they will level up with you. And you can change their gear and spec them too. And Sean will actually fight with you right now. Now, what he's done is he's buffed his staff right there, which is one of the Technomancer powers. In the top left-hand corner in the HUD there, you'll see 4 different blue kind of dots. And they're your ability slots, and they'll recharge. But when you've got a buff, it'll not recharge to the full. So you have to really manage. Either you have a buff and you can use more active abilities and recharge it, or you don't use a buff and you have more slots to use for your active abilities. So there's a little bit of management there. And as he sprints, you'll see the stamina bar go down as well, so you become less efficient in combat and stuff like that. And the red's obviously the health. So these are bandits. So bandits are one of the factions in the game, and they're all over Mars because they're scavengers. It's a scavenging colony now. It's disconnected from Earth. People need to collect resources to survive. So there's a lot of bandit factions all over the world.
Yeah, it's a vaguely post-apocalyptic, but in space. I mean,
It's like it's
post-cataclysmic.
It's quite a long time after kind of the apocalyptic scenario right now. But I mean, before they came, Mars was even less habitable. So relatively speaking, it's pretty apocalyptic.
What are we looking at here?
This is one of the vistas that's overlooking an old relic of the humans, which is sort of a research center. And inside, it's Technomancers only. So only Technomancers can open this building. One of the really cool things about that is when you go back in the game, you can actually go back with a Technomancer companion and unlock some of these areas that you hadn't seen before because only Technomancers can open them.
Ah, I gotcha.
So right now, what you're looking at the 4 skill trees for each of the different ways to skill up. You can skill up your combat styles and also your Technomancer powers. So the big ones are the active skills and the smaller ones are the passive skills. There's attributes and all of those things you would expect in an RPG as well. Right. So he's going to run back to Sean right now, and they're going to continue down to go to the dome, I think.
Now we've seen him fighting, for humanoids,
right?
Maybe a little bit, distant future. Are we going to see kind of supernatural creatures?
You want to know if you see aliens?
Are we going to see aliens?
You're not going to see aliens, but you will see wildlife, and it's not natural wildlife. What it is, in fact, is it's experiments that humans did with DNA from life on Earth when they brought it to Mars. So a lot of the non-human enemies you see are going to be very bizarre mixtures of creatures you might find on Earth, and it's really fun to see what they may have been based on. There's like a prawn with legs.
Oh, that sounds
an ostrich.
awful.
Yeah, it is. It's really terrifying, actually. So he's just seen some stealth here, and the interesting thing about stealth in the Technomancer is you can really avoid a lot of combat situations with clever use of stealth. And there's like up to 5 different ways to beat every quest, and sometimes you can completely avoid combat. Or if you suck at stealth, you'll get seen and you have to fight your way through.
Gotcha.
And it's not only just in the open world parts, but actually in the quests itself. Up to 5 different ways to end each.
Now, is there a skill tree for stealth abilities?
Yeah, you'll be able to improve your stealth as well.
Will you be able to turn invisible using cybernetics at all?
No, because all of your powers revolve around electronics.
Ah.
So I mean, you could fry everyone's eyes or something so they couldn't see, but it's not so big or visible. It's a bit harsh.
Gotcha.
But no, mostly you'll just be whacking people in the head to kill them, not to see you.
That's fine
or just
too.
Standard stealth. I don't know, either way.
Do you think we could have a look at one of the other combat styles?
Yeah, Seb, why don't you head to one you're most comfortable with? So as I said, we're in really early alpha stages right now, and the combat style we were just using is the most polished. So these aren't completely finished yet, but it gives you an idea of what we're expecting. You can buff all of them with the electricity ability there. Obviously, it does more damage.
So you've got the staff, you've got the sword and shield. Did I see you had a gun earlier?
You do have a gun,
okay.
And it's mostly for CC. A lot of time you're getting attacked by mobs. It's useful to fire your gun off and push them back. And so these are these Technomancers right now. We're going to head straight into the dome here, and it's just going to explain how you need 2 people to enter it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many different companions will you have throughout the game?
There's going to be, we don't know the full number yet, can't really tell you the full number yet, but there'll be many different companions. And you'll even be able to have romantic situations.
Oh, yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
I mean, aside from hitting guys with electric staff, it's all about the,
Yeah, whacking people and then mating. Got to keep the population up, it is Mars.
Yeah.
So these are relics of Earth, in fact. The Technomancers have all of the relics of Earth. And these are things that other people don't know about because these are generations of people who have grown up on Mars, disconnected from Earth. And it's really civilization has gone back many, many hundreds of years.
Okay.
So it's always this odd juxtaposition of finding the old and the new. And even the newest stuff looks really ancient.
Oh, those are really gross looking.
Yeah, they're horrible. And that's why he just killed them for us. He's a nice guy.
I respect the choice of prawns over spiders. I think spiders have been done to death, and I'm not fond of them.
And they're terrifying.
Yeah.
These are creepy. Spiders are too terrifying.
Yeah.
Now, there's not supposed to be monsters here, but because it's so old and derelict, he has to clear them out. Now, this is where he's going to learn a secret of the Technomancers, because on Mars, because the world was shifted out of its orbit due to the radiation, there's mutants. Now, mutants are deformed in many different ways, but they're sort of chastised on Mars. They become slaves. And here in this scene right now, Zachariah is learning that the Technomancers themselves are mutants. They are genetically engineered and therefore mutants. And this secret is something they have to hide from the governments of Mars, the 4 factions running Mars, because essentially they will be enslaved.
Okay.
So right now they're working as henchmen because they think they're just really talented. They don't know the root of their powers, and they're revered. But when they find out that they're just mutants, everything will change for them, and the secret police will eventually try and chase them down. So he's just learned that about their origins.
Is that a kind of a core theme in the game?
That's a core theme in the game. A lot of the game is about how Zachariah and how the Technomancers deal with this revelation that they are themselves mutants when mutants are so chastised in the game.
What other types of environments are we going to see?
You're going to see a lot of the cities and towns are protected from sunlight by giant sheets of metal, to protect people from the radiation. But you'll see many different cultures. It's one of the most interesting things about the Technomancer is that because there's more than 200 years since they lost contact with Earth, new cultures have emerged based on the cultures of Earth. So you'll see many different villages with many different themes and a culture for each faction. And you'll see outside environments and inside environments on multiple different levels. We really worked hard on making the game quite three-dimensional in the level design. It's not just inside and flat, but there's actually levels top to bottom.
Okay.
It's a very large 3D environment.
Okay, I spoke too soon about the spiders, apparently.
It's not really a spider.
It's terrifying.
Kill
it. What is it?
It's a level up from spider.
Dear God.
It's, one up from an Australian spider.
Oh.
Yeah, he's not liking that.
And is this a? I'm guessing this is a boss fight, not a romance scene here. This
is not an example of romancing in the Technomancer. In fact, or if it was, it would be a bad first date. It is a boss.
Now you've said you've got crafting, you've got kind of towns and hub worlds. Is there like a marketplace?
Yeah, there's marketplaces.
Economy?
There's places you can purchase stuff. Of course, you can craft your own items. Crafting is a really strong pillar of the game, but you can also buy them from merchants who scavenge. And most of the weapons you use and you find will be like things that have been scavenged, like scrap metal, like hammers and swords and things like that way. Right. And you'll be able to buy stuff in the cities. But depending on who you ally with, it will really limit where you can go and who you can be seen by, because you'll make enemies and they will attack you no matter where you are. And that will affect the end of the game. There's multiple endings, so depending on who you ally with and the choices you make, as I said, up to 5 different ways to end a quest. You'll have one of the many different endings.
It seems like you guys are definitely taking some cues from Mass Effect on that front, and people love to replay that and kind of see all the different branching paths. So that's
I mean, it's impossible not to take influence from other games. Spiders love games. We love games, it's not that we take the best from each game, but we really think that we've made our own thing, and that it's it's definitely got a lot of what people would expect.
Yeah, well, it looks awesome. When is it coming out? And
it's coming out 2016 on PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, no worries.
We got plenty more Gamescom stuff coming up, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.